Oh, sorry.
Yes.
We were just talking about Cobra Kai for a second in the studio, and I
Can't wait.
I couldn't get D. Snyder out of my head. I apologize.
That trailer was fire. So I can wait.
So we're gonna do it a little bit differently because when Cobra Kai comes out, I cannot control myself. This past 3 to 5 weeks, I have been introducing my daughter and wife to Cobra Kai, and we're in the middle of season 3. So that on New Year's Eve, that is what we're doing. We're watching. I mean, we'll probably watch 1 or 2. We're not crazy, but I cannot. I'm too excited. So, welcome to Explain Yourself. We are here at the good graces of the people at Geek Collective, allowing us to come on every Friday night at 11 and find cool people with cool Kickstarter projects. I am Kevin Joseph, and my co-host every week is...
I'm Will Allred. Hey, everyone.
And this week we have 2 projects we're going to talk about with 3 creators. The Invisible Man, Charlie Stickney, is going to be with us in a little bit, but I want to introduce Moana McAdams. And Ryan, can you please tell me your last name? I want to apologize.
Ryan Robinson.
So what we normally do at the beginning is a little 30-second elevator pitch for your project. If someone was going past your booth at a con, how would you get their attention?
Oh, the fun elevator pitch. Okay, so The Adventures of Nakoa and Nohea, Shadows of the Ancient is a children's book. It is a fun and mythical adventure where we go and have fun with these kids and uncover some of the shape-shifting legends of Hawaii. So if you're interested in fantasy and adventure, but that's also safe for kids, this is a book for you.
I want to apologize. I thought I put this in the banners and it didn't show up. So
Maybe.
What Will and I try to do is, because we're so professional and we are so strong at doing this, we like to pretend to make mistakes right at the beginning.
That's right.
And then everybody's like, oh no, they're just like us, you know? Yeah. So that was our first fake out of messing up.
That's all good. Oh, yeah, and I'll add one more thing to the pitch. It's a bilingual book, so it's also told in English and Hawaiian. So if you'd like to learn some Hawaiian words and come on a virtual adventure to Hawaii with us, please come and join.
Very exciting. Will and I are both running a Kickstarter campaign, but we got to go deep dive for a good 15, 20 minutes on our books last week. So if anybody wants to hear deep dives on our books, we'll give you a link to watch last week's, but we're going to do the quick 30-second elevator pitch as well. And then we're going to go into the adventures of... Now, I don't want to mispronounce it. So Nakoa, you said?
Yep, Nakoa and Nohea.
Nohea. Okay.
Yep.
I was like, I'm probably gonna, on purpose.
You didn't butcher it. You did well.
Thank you.
Part of the
appreciate
reason why it's important. Helping people to pronounce it.
Absolutely. No, honestly, names are important, and it's important to at least try. I mean,
absolutely.
I might butcher it, but at least try. Last week or 2 weeks ago, M.K. Palmer was on talking about what for 5 years probably I've called Meraki, and I found it was Meraki. So we all learn things. So actually, I think we see that Charlie is here, so we're going to bring Charlie in, let him do his elevator pitch on how I slept my way through college and other tales from my freshman year. And here he is, Charlie.
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're doing good.
It's good. It's good. Like I just heard that intro. I mean, like it's a mouthful to get out in terms of a title, and I'm really glad that I'm pairing here with a beautiful kids book, because I think this is like the perfect pairing for both crossovers for our audiences.
We've had weeks where it's been an absolutely perfect melding of the projects where everything was Cthulhu, and this week it's like, no, we have awesome people, and we have at least an R-rated and a G-rated. And you know what? That's okay.
It's gonna
It-
work.
it is a beautiful book. I just want to say, like, I was looking through some of the stuff on your website, I mean, on the Kickstarter page earlier today, and it's just gorgeous.
Thank you.
So I hope that, you know,
Thanks.
it continues to do really well for you guys. Yeah. Anyone who's watching right now should just go back it. So my quick pitch is, I like to say it's House of Cards meets
Ooh.
How to Get Away with Murder meets The Girlfriend Experience.
Oh, I'm in.
And it's a quick, I mean, it's a thriller which basically follows a young woman in her freshman year in college who uncovers that there's a professor who's running an escort service using some of the students as call girls. But this is like high-end escorting. And so then as she starts to become friends with these people, she's sort of seeing, because I feel like right now, what I guess what I'm trying to say is like there's a whole conversation to be had about where sex work is going and how people are owning things. And so it gets into a little bit about this, but for the most part, it's about being in college and trying to define your identity, because that's a period in life when we try crazy things and we try to figure out who we are. And so this young woman who's just started in college, she kind of has to figure out who she wants to be, because she's a journalism major and she's uncovered this, and it's going to be the scoop of a lifetime, but it could also destroy the lives of some of her new friends. So it's kind of like a balance in that, but it's a thriller, and there's a professor who's kind of manipulating things, and you don't know, where he is on the spectrum in terms of how malevolent or, actually, just a misguided person, or is he someone who's ahead of his time? And so it's exploring all of those different things.
Beautiful. We're gonna get into that. I've got a couple questions and thoughts on both books. Will, do you want to give the 30-second elevator pitch on Crossover Division?
Sure. Fictional realities are threatening to overrun our reality.
By the way, last week Will and I decided that we are our worst guests.
Yes. So nobody has to worry about ever being our worst guest, because we are our worst guest.
All right, don't worry, and no one saw that, and we're going to edit it out. And we're not going to do that. So,
as someone who's seen a bunch of your shows, you're totally right. Thanks, Charlie.
So, stories are threatening to overrun reality, and only a research librarian and an English professor can save us from our stories. There we go. Not bad. That was okay.
Absolutely beautiful.
We'll keep that take.
Great book, and definitely worth checking out. Tart is a time-traveling demon hunter. She wakes up at the beginning of each adventure without any idea where in the world she is or when in time she is. But she knows that there's a demon causing trouble, and it's up to her to stop it. We are on the 14th issue of this series.
Wow.
And we are extraordinarily happy and proud, and we would love for you to catch up. And that's all Will and I are going to talk about our comics for right now, because we got to go on and on last week. So let's start with the kids. I'm going to pull up the adventures of Nakoa and Nohea.
Yeah,
trying.
Good job.
And we're going to look at the page, and we're going to show some of Ryan's absolutely extraordinary art.
Thank you.
I cannot oversell. You're going to see something really cool very soon. So I'll find it while you guys start telling us about the team besides you guys. Who's helping you make this?
Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah, we have a great creative team. Ryan, of course, is our main illustrator, and I'm really excited to have him on this project. He's making me look really, really good right now. It is a bilingual book. I mentioned a little bit earlier, so it's in English and Hawaiian. So this one you're not going to be able to pronounce. Kamakalehiva Purdy Avelino is our translator. She's taking our book and putting it into Hawaiian language. I know some, but not enough to translate the entire book. So shout out to her for helping me with that. We do have a really cool variant cover that we just, I think we unlocked it this week. For those who are familiar with Mog Park, she has recently
yeah.
done Snowpaw for Rob Motari over at Nightwolf Comics. And so she's doing a very limited variant cover for us that is featuring our shapeshifter that's in this story. And speaking of the shapeshifter, she's a mo'oakua, or a lizard goddess, and in our culture, they're viewed as water protectors because a lot of our sustainability is dependent upon our natural water sources. It's actually a very relevant issue right now. If you haven't heard about what's
Very
going
relevant.
on in Hawaii and the Navy fuel tanks that are leaking into the water sources and are starting to affect a lot of the community, even the military. So it's quite a timely book. So Mog Park's variant cover is really beautiful. Definitely check that out. We're only printing 25 of those.
Oh, wow.
Let's see who else is on the creative team. I got to shout out Laurie Foster and Eric. They helped us with our Kickstarter video. They did some unique original music for the video and also did the editing and production on that. So shout out to them. Chris Koanui is another Hawaii-based artist. He's a colorist, and he is the one who colored Mog's cover for our variant.
Mm-hmm.
And Spactana did our chibi art that we're going to be doing for our stickers. And so he is, I just love him so much. Hopefully we'll be doing a book together soon as well. Let's see, who am I missing? Oh, Mike Watson, of course. If you don't know Mike Watson from Chat and Draw, he did a crossover print for us that folks will get. And I have not hyped that up enough because if you have backed Emerald Quest that he funded earlier this month and back our project as well, you'll also get that print.
Oh, beautiful.
Let's see.
So I'm noticing real life children in the concept art. Are these family members, models? How did this concept come in?
Yeah.
Well, Nakoa and Nohea are real people in actual life. They're Moana's niece and nephews. So I have a lot of faces. So
lots of reference art.
I can use a lot of reference art that I can use. So the original poster that we did for the pre-launch to get people excited was the poster next to Nohea, the one that's really colorful. That's actually a majority of their face. That's like, that's Nakoa's face basically in there, just with big eyes. So yeah, that's their actual faces. The book won't be like that. It'll be more controlled, more animated, more stylized, but his face will still be. There'll be some expressions that me and Moana would know. So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, Moana, we know each other via Comics Launch.
Yeah.
And you've done some comic book Kickstarters. I know you did your Fishing with Papa, which was your children's book before this one. How did you and Ryan meet? Ryan, do you primarily do children's book work? Are you into comics at all?
No, I'm a fine artist at heart. That's my base knowledge. I'm a painter more than anything.
Ryan, you're better than fine. You're really good.
I specialize. The portrait you see of Moana on the campaign I did that.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. I noticed that.
So
I mean, you have a good model, but you captured a pretty darn well.
I do. Yeah, but I do portrait art based in watercolor and oil and gouache. But like, I love doing comic book art. I love doing any kind of art that puts me out of my element or challenges me. But art for me is just like, it's always been something like I like. I love color. Color is like my passion and my art. I like to try to convey emotions in anything that I do. If it's a panel or if it's a whole spread, that's what I like to do more than anything. So I do portrait art, comic book art, children's book. I'm an illustrator, so that's what I got my degree in primarily. Yeah.
When you lay out a page, are you thinking of the colors immediately, or does that come later in your process?
With colors, usually when I have a base value of what I want to convey. So if I'm doing like a full spread with like landscapes and stuff, it's going to be a base color of like what I want to present. Like if it's going to be light and fleshy, I want it to be inviting. If it's going to be dark, I want it to be mysterious and wondrous and like, oh, I want to be there, but what's she doing kind of thing. Like, so I try to convey an emotion in each of the panels or storyboards or spreads that I do. For this children's book, I told Moana from the jump what I decided to do. I wanted to be free flowing and kind of wispy, more whimsical, but more tight as well. Like you're almost reading like a comic book, but you're reading a children's book at the same time, because the colors are going to be very vibrant and bright and a feast for your eyes, but you're going to understand what we're saying at the same time too. Most children's book that haven't seen or noticed are very controlled. The colors are muted or monotone in ways, and that's not going to be. I wanted to break that mode and come out of that mode and show something different. And we have a story that is something different. So I wanted to bring the story and the art to show something different. If you look at her first book with Papa Ray, it's different. Like this is the sequel. So like when you think about movies, the first movie is the groundwork. The sequel has to be bigger, bolder, and better. So
you're basically the T1000 of is what
that's
you're saying.
right.
Yeah, like I'm
Yes.
T2. Yes, I'm T2. So exactly
We're using
perfect way of describing it.
Yes. Right.
Perfect way of describing it.
Right.
Yeah, I'm the T1000 in this book. So I wanted to change the characters. I wanted to age them. I wanted to bring me and Moana had new characters she wanted to bring in. But the brilliant thing about this is that Moana let me run free, though I'm not that person who's like, I'm just going to do what I want to do. I collaborate, me and Moana did this book 100% together. And it's been one of the best experiences of my life with working with someone.
Yeah, that's nice. Joey Galvez, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Aloha.
Joey, you got to back this book if you haven't backed it yet. Go right now. You came to the show. You said hello. That means you want to back your book.
We're watching.
Joey came to the show. He lets us host on his network, and he's cut together the video that actually. Will and I joke about our professionalism because we have zero, except for the video that Joey cut for us that we didn't ask him to do. He sent it. He's like, hey, I put this together. Is this okay? And we're like, okay. First of all, it exists. Second of all, it's awesome. So, Joey, always love to have you, buddy. Oh, and he says that there's going to be a better video for us.
That's awesome.
Very soon. I think he's going to recast the host to make it better, and we do recommend that. But
dang it!
So this story, Moana, you had a book.
Mhm.
You get a different artist for the sequel.
Yeah.
And so did you have the nuts and bolts of the story before you came to Ryan, or did you come to Ryan saying, I'd love to do something else, and you guys, played a little ping pong with it?
So I had like kind of the skeleton of my story. It wasn't fully fleshed out because it could have gone. I mean, and it's still, to be honest, it can still go a lot of directions. I'm not done.
It still go a lot of directions. We don't have an ending yet. We don't have an ending yet.
Okay, but remember, at like Rise of the Machines, that's where everything went downhill. So be careful.
No. We're not.
There's no
we're not
downhill.
going there.
There's no Genesis. There's no.
It's all good.
No, it's gonna be good.
Timelines.
Yeah. The reason why like I'm still kind of like not have the ending is because with the children's book, in my mind, I'm always like, I have a vision for like what the story that I want to tell, but I also want to make sure that it's not so crazy that the kids are like, what is she talking about? Or I'm going too far left or too far right. So I'm in my head a lot. I'm a writer, that's what happens.
Yeah.
But I did have the nuts and bolts. I kind of like when I approach my stories, for me, it's very much rooted in my culture. So like in this one, I wanted to cover Mo'oakua, shapeshifters, ones that you don't really see a lot. I actually didn't even know about them until quite recently. So my stories are centered around that. And then how can I put Nakoa and Nohea on an adventure where they encounter this thing, right? The shapeshifter. So that I have always known. What I really wanted to happen in the second book was like, obviously, you can see why I chose Ryan. Children love color. Like that's what brings them into the story. Of course, the story is just as important, but like if you want to grab their attention, it has to be colorful. Like, oh, mom, what is that? Can we go see that? So having someone who's great at that, but also the other caution that I always have, and I approach very carefully because it is my culture, is someone who will appreciate the culture, and I can give them the creative freedom, but they won't go so far to the right or left that it will not resonate with people who actually know my culture. Because that's very important, because there's a cultural appropriation aspect that comes to this. So like for me, it's always a balance between being innovative and keeping my culture fresh, but also not so far from it that traditionalists will view it in a negative light. And Ryan, like, he's been so great. Everything I throw at him, he's like, oh, yes. He's like, tell me more. Like, give me more information about this culture. I must know more, So it's been a lot of fun. I told him, like, I wanted to have, like, kind of a Lord of the Rings adventure feel, like, like really vast kind of, what it was.
World building.
Yeah, world building. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Argonauts. I wanted to be like, whoo, what is that? Like these kids that are going on this adventure with like kind of a relationship like Frodo and Sam, like really good friends, and they're just like, where are we going? This is great. And then you have like Merry and Pippin, who are like the two on the side, like the comic relief and the humor, and just four friends really going on this thing, going on a wild adventure. And they're just really focused on having fun together. And then here they're, thrust into this world of all these other things that are happening to them. And we'll see what happens.
So what age would you say is the youngest this story is for?
I would say that any age can enjoy this story. From like, like if a parent is willing to read along kind of thing. If you're looking for the child being able to read by themselves, I would say probably six can probably do it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But
6
with
and
the
up.
bright colors, I can see. I could see you sitting down with my daughter when she was 18 months and could barely talk. I could see just pointing out the colors just because it's so vibrant and beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So, but there's not enough action that even a young kid you would be worried about.
I don't think so. Well, I guess let's see. It depends on what Ryan puts on the page for our quote unquote villain. I don't think he'll.
So
there is a villain. There's
Okay.
a villain. So it's going to depend on how Moana writes the scene, to be honest with you. But there is a villain. There's going to be some action sequences, but they're not going to be heavy enough that they're like violent or to the point where it's like that's too much for my child. No, it won't be like that. But there is a villain in this book that will be prevalent and so on throughout the other books. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
So what I can say, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, every parent should buy this book and read it first, and every aunt and uncle should buy it and not worry about it and just give it to the kid.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would say for this is new. I mean, like it feels like there's nostalgia here. You have Goonies, you have Lord of the Rings, but then it's also rooted into a culture that nobody really knows much about. And that's something that we want to convey and show people, that there's something fresh and new here. There's going to be things in the book that you have to find. We have a lizard that's throughout the book where you have to discover and look for them. There's things in this book that are fun, educational, inviting, but also it's a story that builds to something bigger and better. So it is an adventure. When we say it's an adventure of Nakoa, it is an adventure, and
that's
you're going to
cool.
experience that.
Moana, I see you are in backstage twice. Is there something you're trying to share
Yeah,
that I should bring up?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I put a.
I don't mind at all. I just didn't know we could do it.
Oh, show that print! Show
that
that
is-
print for
That
today.
is brand new.
So
Yeah,
we
so-
totally
Show our
knew-
print.
I will.
We totally knew how to do
but I
that.
wanted to
Kevin's
show this
just
because this
doing his
is
thing.
this is the chibi version, but you're essentially seeing our
Mhm.
quote unquote villain in a very cute
Villain,
way.
yes.
So, yes.
Oh, that is awesome. No, that's great.
Very cool.
This does remind me of a story. There used to be a comic printer, and I'm just going to say their name, and we're not going to go into it because they might not have had the greatest ending. But Kraken Print started out with all of the best intentions, and
Yeah.
they printed my kids' book, The Poodles of Potter's Peak, and I might have done the math wrong on how many pages I needed. For some reason, it came time to print, and I had, I think, 23 pages for no reason at all. So I didn't. What would have been my inside back cover became the last page, and I told him, "Hey, you're doing this for me. I messed up. If you want to do an advertisement, you can do it in that inside back cover because I don't have time to get anybody to do anything, and I screwed up." They said, "Yeah, sure, that's great." And I'm doing Poodles of Potter Speak is for like 2 to 6 year olds. It's you're really young. And so they sent me a squid like you, except realistic, coming out of the ocean, pulling something in. And I was like, guys, I'm trying to sell this to 8-month-olds. we can't do this. And I'm like, what happened? And we talked back and forth. They went and they found somebody who could do a cute Kraken, and that's what ended up in it. I felt so bad, but I'm like, I can't be giving these 18-month-olds nightmares.
Right. And that's the balance that we're trying to kind of.
I think you're
Yeah.
safe. I think you're on the end that you're safe.
Yeah.
Yes, Ryan. Okay, so yes, let's not go too far.
We're not going to go too far, but we're going to go somewhere. We're just not going to go too far. Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, yeah. So let us show just one more thing, if you don't mind.
Please. I love this. After the show, please tell me how you did this so I can tell others. I just saw something pop up. I'm like, that's either the weirdest computer malfunction or Moana knows something. Thankfully, you know something.
Yeah. So
Oh.
if you back us by tonight, you have 30 minutes to do this. You will get this print with your pledge. So Ryan can tell you a little bit about what this is and how he created it.
Yeah, sure. I did 4.
Jesus.
So I did 4 posters for our campaign. We showed 3 so far. This is the 4th one that I did. This is Kawana's Lair that I did. So in our book, we take you on a trip and you get to visit Kawana's lair. So what I decided to do, all the posters are initially a phase. Like phase 1 was the closest to realism. Phase 2 is what you're majority going to see in the book. Phase 3 was our Halloween poster because we were dropping soon. And then this is the comic book version. This is the comic book version of the poster. So I showed variations of my styles throughout these posters. So if you want to get a taste of how I illustrate, I have these kind of styles that I foretell, but it's all based on color.
Oh, it is extraordinary. I can see this with like a metal cover or like a spot finish. Oh my God.
Yeah. So what I decided to do before the end of the campaign, I decided to do this little comic book illustration of Kawana's Lair for this backing. Before December 10th, you'll get a free print of this. If you back it, physical backers will get it, or if you back it physically for a physical book, if you do digital, you'll get a digital wallpaper of this as well. So it was something that Moana's a genius. She'd just be coming out with these things and just taking it and like that. And I'd be like, that sounds incredible. But yeah, I did 4 posters for the campaign. And if it's fun, all 4 posters will be in a bundle as well. But this is something it was fun and quick, and I just knocked it together in a couple days, and it was fun. And it's something like I'm really excited about this book because we have things that people they just don't know what they're in store for. His character alone is going to be a nice presence, and it's fun. It's going to be really, really, really new and really fresh. I can't stress that enough. It's fresh.
Yes. And I will say that like Ryan undersells himself like a little bit because he is like really the magic behind this thing. And so also if you love his art, there is, I believe, 1 or 2 spots left to get on his commissions list. He is offering a special price for the campaign. So if you would like to jump on board with that, please claim that as well. And as you can see, you have just a little bit of a taste of what you'll get from him. So for folks who might be, if you're creative and you have, a campaign coming up that you're planning for and you need a cool variant cover, Ryan's your man. He's done it for a bunch of other indie projects already, and they've been fan favorites with the backers. So definitely.
Absolutely. How much is that? How much is the commission tier on that?
$279.
Bargain.
Yeah.
For a variant cover for a comic.
Yep.
That type of imagery.
Yep.
That level of professionalism, it's amazing.
Right.
It's a great deal.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. All right. Well,
thanks, guys.
We are going to get back to this a little bit, but we want to let Charlie get on to his book because we want everybody to have their time. And then as we get comments from people watching, we're just going to go back and forth. But Charlie, I'm going to pull up.
I just want to say that seeing
yes.
that picture with was it an octopus or a, it kind of reminded me seeing the kids attacking that. Literally what happens to me every night trying to put my children to bed. It's just, like I'm the octopus. It's like that was why the thing had to, the camera shut off for a second because I had to go provide a little bit of backup to my wife. I could hear things through the muted lens. I was like, okay, yes, I need to go be the octopus and get clubbed a little bit. I will be right back. But just beautiful work, and I love that book. It looks like it's going to be fantastic.
Thank you, Charlie.
And before we go, I did notice you could get both. But there is a tier that you could get both books. I actually changed my pledge today because I hadn't realized this was a sequel until this morning when I looked at it closer, and I was like, oh wait, I don't have the first book. Gotta get it. I mean, come on.
Thanks, Kevin.
Oh, of course. All right, so Charlie, let's get a little more adult.
It's a little more adult. I mean, like, the thing is, like, one really interesting aspect of this is anytime that you start doing something that's a story that has a sexual nature to it, I think you need to be really careful how you handle it to do it appropriately. And one of the things that I like to do is if I work with the majority of my team are all women. Because that way, I feel confident that, that any male gaze that I have that I bring inherent to my work, that the women are going to help mitigate some of that. So, Emelina Panini, and I'm going to butcher her name because I spoke to her once and she's Italian and I think that's her name. Does all the line art for the book and she's great. And Dirbala Kelly does the colors and she's fantastic. Melissa White is my editor and also sensitivity reader. So for me, I try to couch myself in these things before I approach a subject matter that sometimes, like we all have a wheelhouse. And sometimes if we stretch a little bit, you just want to make sure you're buttressed the right way. So for me, I was looking to do a little bit of an adult thriller, but my work also has a lot of comedy. I do a lot of genre shifting with my other things. I do grounded fantasy or grounded sci-fi, but at the core, it's always about characters, and it's about how how they interact with each other, and there's always humor, there's always horror. And so this was just like me trying to bring in another world. So it's set in a really elite Ivy League like college, where all of these young women are going and finding each other. And this one, Stephanie, she's a journalism major, and she's starting to uncover that there's something going on with some of her classmates, and trying to see where that's going to lead to. And then along the way, that's going to, again, it gives her different perspectives on how different people are leading their lives, and she needs to figure out which side and how much of her viewpoint she's going to inject into that. But at the core, it's also a little bit of a thriller, because there's a missing girl, and so she's trying to see if that's tied up with this. And it's dangerous, I mean, or it could be dangerous. She's also trying to figure out. So like, it's hard to explain.
Right.
This is one of those worlds where if you're watching it or you're reading it as a book, the characters slowly start to unfold and all the pieces are coming together. And so each of these young women is a student, and they have their own identity and agency, but they also have this extracurricular activity that they're doing on the side for various regions. And the professor, Professor Thatcher, is also a philosophy professor who, his specialty is morality. So he's always exploring what is moral, relative morality, and just what defines, because there's all different kinds of philosophies in terms of what's moral. It's something that's been debated for thousands of years, and whether it's society or whether it's individual, whether it's someone who is always pushing towards the greatest good for which is different depending on who you're talking to. So it's an exploration of that as well, because like he's all in his head, that he's doing it for these grandiose vision ideas of pushing authority and what's moral, and he's trying to help people, but is he really? So it plays with a lot of those different things. But then again, underneath it all, there's a little bit of this, like I said, thriller, and her investigating things as it goes. But like when you're playing in this world, again, you have to be careful. And I've gotten some questions from some backers, and they're like, "Hey, how much of a sex book is this?" And I'm like, "Hey, it's not too much of a sex book."
Right.
It's like, and people get upset with you. I had someone who was a potential backer who got upset with me because it wasn't actually a sex book.
Right.
And for anyone watching, there is no nudity in the first issue. This is a Kickstarter comic. There is no nudity. We're going.
Well, there is ass. You do show ass in it.
Do I?
The word right there on the screen.
Yes, the word. Yes.
That was good timing.
Yes. So
great timing.
So we're going into that world, but I'm trying to be smart about it and how I approach it. So if you're looking for a sex book on Kickstarter, you don't have to look very far outside of my project. Just scroll a little bit. You're going to find exactly what you're looking for. If you're looking for something that gets a little sexy at times, but it's not the focus of it, it's more of a thematic lens that we use to explore, that time in someone's life, because college at its, so much of that's finding your own identity, which comes down to how you define yourself sexually as well. Which happens
as a writer who has a French artist who brings a level of sensuality without it being exploitative, just because of kind of the European mindset and just the way he likes to draw. Did you reach out to an Italian artist with that in mind, or did you just happen to find a great Italian artist that was giving you the look you were looking for?
I was starting with the point of view where I wanted to find a female artist that I wanted to work with on this book. And I wanted to work with someone who was excited about the story. And so I reached out to a couple of people, and Emiliana, I think it's Emiliana, was very excited about working on it. Because in her wheelhouse, she really loves drawing kids, especially young women in college. Like that's what she loves doing. And she loves the fashion, and she loves designing it. She's also Italian, so they love the sexy.
Mhm.
And like, you know, like for me, it's also like, hey, can we dial some of that back sometimes? Because like, again, I don't ever want to say to her that's too much, because who am I to define that? But I also need to make sure that it still comes across in the tone that I want it to do. So it
Right.
is, it's a difficult walk, but it's fun when you're walking it with people who enjoy what you're doing. You know, and like I said, I have Melissa who I can bounce ideas off of and say, how does this land? How does that land?
Mhm.
You know, but again, it's trying to tell this story, this thriller, this thing set in this, like I said, this Ivy League-esque college. And it's funny because right now there's a show on HBO that just launched that sort of explores some of this territory that's set
Okay.
at a prestigious Ivy League-esque fake college. And if you look at the trailer for that and you look at some of my project, you will see some buildings that look very similar. Because where that show is set is where I, in my mind, had also set this book. Because it was a college I went to. And I was so I was looking at that. I was like, yeah, you know what? Like this is that world. These are these people. So I'm writing the world that I understand. And then I was like, oh, Mindy Kaling's doing the same thing, but a little different, slightly
So
different.
why is there always a Bug's Life coming out the same
Right.
year as
Well,
Ants? How does that happen?
well, I think certain things get into the zeitgeist, right?
Right.
And especially it's people who are of a similar age
Mhm.
start, you know, because you have different experiences and the world hits you. And I think similarly. And so when you get to an age where you can actually create things unencumbered, or you've reached a position in Hollywood, you know, a lot of people who had the same experiences growing up might come to the same conclusion. It's time to tell certain types of stories, right? And so I think that's why it happens. The other thing that really affects a lot of it is the music that you see in things, and the people who place the music in a lot of shows are, you know, music supervisors. And what they often do is it's the music from, you know, when they were kids, or when
Mhm.
they were in their, you know, early teens, because they're now in their 40s and they have those positions. And so the shows that you're watching all of a sudden have music from a certain age, and that inspires things. So I think that's part of it, combined with, you know, just certain ideas are out there in the zeitgeist. So for me, it was like, it was kind of funny because I had been working on this on and off, because as we know, comics can take a longer time, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you know, yeah, you have development. I mean, like for me, I have a bunch of other series, and you know, those are in the fantasy world, and like I've been working on one since 2016, and we're up to like issue 7 now. So you know, these things take time because artists have to do other things than be chained to their desks. I'm sorry, Ryan.
Also, this is the crap. Is like Moana's like, hey Ryan, I want the villain to be an octopus, and Ryan's like, it'll, you know, I'll work all day on it. All day? She just said octopus, man.
Right.
I mean, I'm pretty quick. I'm pretty fast. I'm pretty fast, so it wouldn't take me that long.
Oh, that's great.
I'm pretty. Hey,
No.
Tony.
We appreciate artists as much as we can understand it, and as far as Will and I understand it, it's magic, and we appreciate that you know the magic, but we also do know that it's not magic. It's potions, you know, like work and
Yeah,
labor.
there's some alchemy
and
involved. There's some alchemy involved.
There's 30 years of work so that you can do an octopus in less than a day. We do understand that.
Yes.
Yep.
But yeah, so like this has been something that I've been working on. You know, like I had a rough script for this like 8 years ago, right?
Oh,
And
wow.
so, you know, like not that I did anything with it, but it was like in the drawer. There's going to be a time to do this story, because I think,
Mhm.
you know, as writers, we have lots of different stories,
Yes.
And the question is, when do you tell one? When do you tell the
Right.
other? This is not the first story I wanted to tell, because you also don't want to brand yourself with a certain thing.
Right.
You want to do this and then that. You establish a reputation, and then you can take risks and try things. So for me, this is a risk. I'm trying something, and we'll see how it lands. If people like it, if it's hitting the right notes, we'll continue with it. If people hate it, then we won't do as much of it. But like I feel good about this. I think it's really fun, and gets into some interesting discussions. But like you said, it was a story that felt like this was the time I could tell it, because we've been in this pandemic, and so much of the pandemic is about being closed off from other people, right?
Yeah.
And this is a story about being open up. And I think, like, when people are looking for escapism, like, you can tell interesting things with some escapism, but telling a story about big open spaces, like you look at something like Foundation, which just came out right now, and whether it's good or bad, you just
That was
oh
rough.
my God,
That was rough. But they put money in that, but it was rough.
right. Fan of the books. My thought is, there's this
I
thing
love
out
the
there
books.
that is inspired by Foundation. As long as you don't
Yeah.
expect it to be Foundation, it's an interesting thing, but it's big and open, right? Like
Yes.
when you watch that, you feel like you're transported somewhere. There's no one wearing masks. It's not confined. It's these gigantic
Yes.
worlds, right? So I think, when you look at that, it's that story can resonate right now a little bit better. Just, it finds an audience. Like, I think, like, because I've also worked in Hollywood, and things go through cycles. And during Obama, they were looking, the studios were looking for dark material, right? Because he kind of came in with a campaign of hope, and people were feeling pretty good, at least some of us were, about the world, right? And then for the last, there was a period after Obama that a lot of people were not as happy about. And during those times, the studio was like, no more dark. Let's just do light. Let's not think about things. So, like, I just think, like, certain things find a place in a time. Whatever your reason are, for telling a story as a writer, I think.
So are you basically saying that Biden is not very sexy? Because you're like Obama came in and he was like all about hope, and they were like, let's go dark. And then another time that we didn't talk about, they were like, we got to be happy. And like now, like, you and Mindy Kaling are doing these sex things.
Yeah, pretty much. Like,
I'm just following the thread, man.
Like, just seriously though, think about the 1950s, right? One of the most repressed times in the country's history. What happened right after that? The 1960s, the free love movement. It's like, everything's a reaction to the thing that came before it, or what's going on. So, when I talk about, like, this is the time to take some risks and tell some of these stories, it is because I think people want these stories now, because you felt so closed off and shut down for so long, and now you're opening back up and say, you know what, let's try this.
Right.
So for me, it was the time to approach the story now.
Yeah, and you don't live in a vacuum either. I mean, you're reacting to work that you've put out yourself. So this is you wanting, to kind of stretch some, creative muscles and do something different, right?
Yeah, and also something more grounded. Because like I said, I mean, my other books it's elves and dwarves in rural Pennsylvania, like that. Like that's like my big series, and there's a whole world that's built around that. Yes.
That's right.
They didn't get the coffee cup. I have another series that's grounded sci-fi. So like, for me, it's been doing some of those things. I also, worked on a series that's in the wuxia, genre as well. So, like, I've been here, I've been there. Let's do something a little bit more grounded, but I also want to make it interesting.
Now, you once told me that White Ash could go for an extraordinary large number of issues. How long would How I Slept My Way Through College go? Is this a couple issue mini? Is this however long? How long do you envision this going?
So it depends. I mean, I always try to write things with, it could stop here, it could stop here, or it could stop here. The long version of this is about 18 issues.
Okay.
I think it's probably the sweet spot's about 12, 2 arcs. You know, I with everything I write, I plot out big worlds, so I know where it could go if we did a lot, but I also know how to tell a contained story. So that's what we're starting with a contained story that introduces the world, the characters, and then if it does well, you know, again, you take it from there and you run with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So who? I was looking on the page. Who do you have lettering this?
So the letterer is Connor Hughes.
Oh,
Hey,
okay, that's right.
all
I knew
right.
that.
I'm lucky that my artistic partner on White Ash, who's the co-creator of White Ash, he's also a letterer. And I was like, who do I want? I should just have Connor do it. Like,
Yeah, you have such trust and like probably a shorthand, basically.
Yeah, and also we talk all the time. So, you know, for him to knock out the book in, you know, like, here's the preview pages, I'll do that in, you know, this afternoon for you. You know, so it's not going to take too much time from the other things. He also designed the logo. But you know, it's nice to have that in your back pocket. You know what? I can pull this incredibly talented graphic person if I want to work with him on a project. And yeah, he's one of my favorite people to collaborate with. So I'm lucky to have him as a partner.
He's got a little talent.
Yeah, it's like
pretty awesome.
If you ever get a chance to check out Connor's work, he is just also, like Ryan, incredibly talented and has wide range. I'll send you some of the stuff that he does.
Please, yeah, because I mean, children's book needs lettering too.
Oh,
I
man,
mean, I can do it, but I don't know if it'll be great.
Oh, Moana, we got you. We've got Connor, we got TC Hopkins, we got Clay Adams, we got Rob Jones, we got
Fowler,
Taylor Esposito, we got Brant Fowler. We've got you, the letterers.
Yeah.
I think I left some out, and I apologize because there's
a lot in the community for sure.
If somebody's watching that wants to get into making indie comics, Will and I have said this, and I will say it every episode it comes up. The best dollar for dollar value you can spend on your comic is a professional letterer. Find somebody a little bit, you know, on the start of their journey. You know, you could be paying $10, $15, $20 a page for your lettering. And I promise you, real editors that or publishers or people who make decisions will see that value.
Yeah.
I would say this, you know, even just the value aside, it's the time. Because I have some artistic talent, enough to know I should hire other people to draw my books. but you know, like I spent, you know, I was looking at one point to maybe be an inker. I interned at Marvel way back in the day, so like that was another whole part of my world. But when I worked in animation, it gives me enough of a sense and appreciation to know how long it takes to draw something that I'm asking for. So, you know, how to set up that perspective grid, regardless of whether you have Clip Studio or something that can do some of it for you. Like, I know what I've just asked for. So, you know, so I think that's very helpful for me. But like, even with this, I did temp lettering of my own on the pages, and just the amount of time it took me to do the temp lettering, even though it was looking good. It's not a time cost that you want to do. You want to be creating more things. You want to hire someone who, you know, who may be a little bit better than you, but 10 times as fast, because then you're getting that done. What I will say, you know, as a creative, there is something nice about when you get to that lettering stage about rewriting. So if you can look at your pages and do your own temp lettering path on it, just to rewrite the pages so they work, and then give it to the letterer to do for real. That's kind of like the best way to go.
And I can't do that. I don't have that skill or that ability, but I do, when I get the art back, do a complete lettering pass and do a letterer script that you're talking about, because you can see, oh, I really overworded this panel. I've got to figure out how to make these 28 words, 14, because I'm filling too much and I've got to fix this. So even if you can't do what Charlie does, still rewrite before you go to the letterer, because your artist might have drawn what your entire narration box
Yes.
says, and if that's throw your words away, man.
Yes.
If you
That's
can
what I
ever
love.
throw your words away, you've done the right job as a writer.
That's
Well,
what I
and
love about Ryan. I don't have to.
I,
I'm like, oh, I can write.
You don't have to worry about that, girl.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about that.
I
Because
I
we
highly
know
recommend.
we talk that shit through all the time. So we don't worry about that.
Ryan's taking the football and running.
Yeah,
That's right.
I run, but we write plays beforehand. So.
I was lucky enough to take the lettering class from Comics Experience, and that I mean, I can do it and I can make it look passable, but it takes me absolutely forever because I've not done it enough and I don't have the skill. And by passable, there's something that a letterer does that I really don't think that they get as much credit as they deserve, and that's the graphic design of the lettering of the page, of where the boxes go, where the balloons go, and leading the eye and all that. And that's a really important skill that a good letterer has.
It should start with the writer. It doesn't. It does start with the illustrator. Sometimes better than others, and the letterer is the person that saves it if the writer and the illustrator haven't done it perfectly. Then it's the letterer comes in, and you can try all you want, but you're going to have to ask your letterer to make sure a page works sometimes. And they're the unsung heroes because nobody talks about them until the writer has done something so dumb that the letterer can't fix it. And that's when everyone's like, the lettering in this book sucked.
No.
Well, they used to, like, back in the 1940s, sometimes they used to letter the comics first, right? They would actually letter it, and then they would give it to the artist. And now the artist knew
to draw around.
Yeah, because they also had less things to fill up on the page because these panels were already there. And I will say, like, when I'm working with Connor on White Ash, that's one of the great things is because he's the letterer on the book. He letters as he's doing his layouts. So even before he starts doing his tight pencils, he's got the letters laid down on the page. So he knows whatever he's doing with the art is going to feed into that. And there's enough room for it. And so I like that's a really great thing to do versus the other skill where the letterer has to be like, oh my God, how do I make this work? Like, what did these idiots do? So like I think that's he has to deal with that more this time around.
Guys, we have an MVB, most valuable backer, come in. We got a hello from Shawnee.
Hey,
Shawnee, how are you?
I saw Shawnee a couple of weeks ago actually at San Diego.
Oh,
Very
that's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take a second. How were the two shows? You did LA Comic-Con and San Diego Comic-Con. Moana, have you done any shows recently?
So we did Baltimore in October.
Okay.
Yeah, and that show was it wasn't as much traffic as I thought there would be. Part of it was some logistics on the outside in terms of like scanning people before coming in. The health scans and stuff. They only had one person doing it on one day, so there was a 2 to 4 hour wait outside. So you can imagine how many people probably left. But outside of that, it was good to be, back on the scene, networking again, seeing the fans, getting a chance to pitch the books, get folks to see it, and just hang out. Yeah, it was.
So
good.
was Ryan? Were you there with her at?
Not yet. Next year.
Funny thing, Will, as you ask, Will, Ryan has never been to a con ever.
Right.
So,
Really?
No, I've never been to a Comic-Con ever in my life. I went to an indie Comic-Con called Space because I wrote and drew a
Space
comic
is
book.
great, though. Yeah, no, Space.
Yeah, I love
Space is
Space.
a con,
That
man.
was fun.
Space is for real.
That's the only con Kevin, that's the only con I've been to.
It's about to change. We're about to change that.
But it was a lot of fun. Like the experience is great. Yeah, and I wrote a comic book back in 2018 and drew it, but yeah, I can't write, so we're not doing that again. So.
If you illustrate, you write. You
Exactly.
Just,
Thank you,
yeah.
Kevin.
I mean, there is something to that. How was the San Diego?
Maybe you
special
can't
edition?
script. You know?
Yeah.
So I like to say, people are like, how is San Diego? And I'm like, it was San Diego the way your stepmother is your mom. Like you'd never actually call her your mom. Some other people might call her your mom, but they'd be very wrong, right?
Charlie's hilarious.
So that was not San Diego. So it was in the same space as San Diego. If you imagine they cut off like over a third of it,
Yeah.
and then packed the space that
Wow.
was left with like another third of the vendors. So it was really like maybe at most 30% of the vendors that are normally there and 20% of the people.
Okay.
So it was empty. There's a lot of booths that were empty. If you were someone who lived in San Diego who had always wanted to go to Comic-Con, it was great because
Right.
you could buy a ticket and walk in on the day.
Wow.
And there was no line. And it was San Diego, but 90s version. And like, Kevin, you've been there. I don't, Moana, have you been there before to San
I have.
Diego?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you know how crowded it is, right?
Yes.
I walked from my booth to a panel upstairs, and maybe at most it was 6 minutes.
Oh,
Bullshit.
impossible.
Absolute
Go-
bullshit.
Wow.
Charlie Stickney is a liar, and he's lying.
Wow.
So like, but like the
Wow.
best thing about it was Comic-Con decided to charge normal Comic-Con booth rates.
Oh, no.
okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway, like that was bad.
Yeah.
But if I had been just a person walking around, I would have loved it. And I
Right.
think the small press actually did better because there weren't the seas of people and people
Yeah.
could walk up and there weren't the long lines to see things. You could walk in and out. So if you had a small press, if you had Artist Alley and you were the big artist among the very small artists who were there, because it was a lot of people who had never been able to get a booth before, who also got tables and exhibiting space. I was there with Scout. And so Scout had paid a lot of money to have a booth that wasn't going to make a lot of money. So that was interesting. Last weekend, which was like a week later, because it was also right after Thanksgiving, was Los Angeles Comic-Con, and it was the best I'd ever seen it. It was
Really?
probably the most crowded, the most people were engaged in buying things. It felt super
Ooh.
safe. They had
Good.
they had the whole con lockdown where you had to have either a Vax card or a test to get in, but people were used to that, and it just like there was no real line. People just kept flowing in, and
They had more than one person doing the health check.
yes, they did. And they they reported they had over 90,000 people there.
Wow.
And everyone was in masks because it's Los Angeles, and that's what we do here. No matter where you're going, people are wearing masks, walking down the street. So I think it was also easier to get people to buy in who were going to the convention. It wasn't like arm twisting people to wear masks or be vaxxed. Most of the people who were coming were already those things. And so so it was great.
I
Were you
think
there with
that
Scout or
it's
Yeah, so
Go ahead.
I was there again with Scout, and the booth, which was the same size, was half the cost, and made a lot more money. We had a nice tart on the table, just so you know. I was pushing that trade a little bit this weekend.
I appreciate it. I saw the setup and I was like, well, that target on that table, that looks good to me. I might be a little biased, but it does look good. I was next to, I think, Grit, which made me feel good too, because I was like, if somebody likes fantasy, they're going to pick one of these two books and they're going to get a good book.
Well, what was really nice at that convention, and this is for anyone who's doing a con setup, we had like our readers section and we had our collectors section, and those can be two very different audiences. And so having a big table filled with the trades that were done versus another table that had the metal covers and the
Right.
more expensive collector's items for the people who just want to go through the long box and then say, how much is this? And you're like $30. And they're like, I'll take 2, which is not me. Like I just
Yeah.
want the good books to read. So
Yeah.
But without the 2 people, none of us can continue. You have
That's
to
right.
kind of.
Yeah.
that's right. Without that Mog Park cover, which
Oh
I
my
think
gosh,
everyone
yes.
should be backing. She's very talented. I'm actually, I tried to see
Very
she's at LA
talented.
Comic-Con as well.
She's amazing.
And she's going to be at Comic-Con Revolution next week. So maybe you could go talk to her if you were there, and you could say, hey, I'm getting this book. If I pay you lots of money, can I send it to you and have you sign it?
Right.
So that's
Yes.
what people should do.
Now,
And-
Comic-Con Revolution has done 2 shows in Palm Beach, which is like 45 minutes north of me an hour. And they were amazing. I really loved them and I was excited. And then the pandemic hit and they haven't come back. So what I'm hoping is everybody in Ontario, California goes and makes it a resounding success. And then they come back to Palm Beach because I really do love that show.
But it is
And,
nice to have cons back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's
See-
keep it on the DL, but Mog Park might be doing a cover for some comic that I might be involved with.
Woohoo.
Oh, nice. I think we might have something in the stream we can share. I'm gonna guess with
Yeah.
Mog's illustrative power, because guess what, Moana, you have got to teach me how this happens because this is awesome.
Nice.
Oh wow.
Oh, nice.
So pretty.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
pretty.
she's a real Ryan. She can draw.
Yes.
Yeah, and also has range. Also
Yeah, she
has
does.
range.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, incredible range.
And she graced us with our presence, Rob. We asked Rob if he could come on, and he said, "Can Mog Park come on?" And we're like, "An artist, yes," because this is usually just a bunch of writers,
Yeah.
coming on and just kind of like
So it's nice
pretending
to
that-
have a visual writer like Ryan.
Yes.
crossing us.
Right. Yes.
yeah. And she came on, and as lovely, well, I would say as lovely a person as she is a talented artist, but there's nobody as lovely as her talent. So she's very lovely, but she's a
Yes.
more talented artist.
That's right.
So that is, you said you're only doing 25 of those covers, right?
Correct.
For the campaign?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That is awesome. That's rare and cool. Now, did she put any elements in
And
there?
dope.
And dope. I believe that's what Joey said about your art earlier.
That's right.
Let me see. Let me go back up.
Well-
Okay, let's pretend that Joey was looking at that. That's
Yeah.
dope. All right. I just realized I can use comics for good or evil. I can really look up for some terrible things to bring back and out of context. But
Careful, the power is going to his head.
yes.
The
Did
power or
Mog
the
put-
wine.
Did Mog use any like three-dimensional elements in her art? Because I know with Rob, she like used crystals in the art for the cover, so that if you see it in real life, it's like a totally different visual than the cover even. Like
Yeah, so for this one, no, because I was actually really lucky to get her to be able to do something, because I made a kind of a last minute ask.
Mhm.
And so she did a pencil. Well, I say she just did a pencil sketch, but even her pencil sketch is amazing.
Right.
And then
It's quite brilliant.
Chris Koanui, who is the colorist, he took it even further. So some of the dimensionality that you see in the colored image is actually created with the colors. So I have the sketch in the backstage if you want to just show it real quick. But,
I will do it, absolutely.
but
Yeah,
it's
I love it
beautiful.
when-
I mean, it's very Mog.
I love it
Yeah.
when artists say, "Oh, this is just a sketch," and
Yeah.
like Ludo.
I don't love that. That pisses me off.
Yeah, I know
Right?
it's annoying. But Ludo's like, "Hey, here's a sketch of the cover that like he did for Crossover Division #3," and I'm like, "Wait, that's fully colored. What part of that is sketch? I don't understand."
I mean, I have a lot of sketches that I hate, and they're fully colored. So I do.
Were you hoping to hate
it's a
them a little bit
sketch,
less
for
if you
real.
added the colors?
I mean, you get so aggravated, and you're like, I want to try this, and you try it, and you stop, and I'm like, yeah, it's a sketch. So then you move on to the next.
Yeah, as Shawnee says, yeah, just a sketch.
sketch.
Right.
It's facts, Shawnee. It's facts. It's facts.
Oh, yes.
Well, it is 12:12 in the AM on the Eastern Standard Time, and I know Ryan, this is late for you, and you are on vacation. I don't want to keep your vacation, although it's been incredibly enjoyable to have you on.
Thanks for having me, for real.
You
This has been
have
great.
a week left on the adventures of, gosh, Nohea.
Yep, the close. Nakoa and Nohea.
Nakoa and Nohea.
Yeah.
And I'm going to pull that up one more time before we close it out.
Yeah, and while
You know
Kevin's
what?
pulling it up, we is there a particular reward tier that like you're most proud of, or that you want to point people to? You know, as we look
Which
at
is
it.
hilarious because I realized that I don't have the Mog Park tier on here.
Oh no!
I put her on the add-on, but then I also created a tier and it's not here. So let me correct that really quick.
Okay.
This is live, people. This is
Magic. This is
an
Kickstarter
explain
magic.
yourself exclusive. We are creating tiers. We are making magic.
And
It is
sketches.
going down.
I do want you guys to understand one thing before it happens. Okay, so you guys have already raised $8,998. You are $2
Mhm.
away from $9,000.
Yes.
Will and I take credit for everything above $9,000.
It's
You know that, right?
Explain yourself, bump. It's all coming from the show.
Every single thing that happens after this, we take credit for. It is not true. We will still take credit for it. You understand, right?
Same for you, Charlie.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And remind me to come on the show with 6 days left next time.
Right? Yeah.
Hey, you
6
can go
days.
every Friday night, except probably around Christmas or New Year's. New Year's, I'm going to be watching Cobra Kai. So I don't know if that's a Friday or not.
Yeah, so it's just funny because Will knows this because we're in the mastermind together, but like setting a 5-figure goal was super scary. I mean, it's still scary,
Yeah.
but clearly we can do it. I mean, I believed we
you'll
could
do
do it,
You'll do it,
but
no
it's
problem.
still like actually taking the action and being like, yes.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
It is
11,000
a
is
strange thing, but we've talked about it before. It's Kickstarter math.
Yes.
You have, let's say 9,000, because you know what? I'll add $2 to my tier after this show just to make it, because damn it, you have $9,000.
Kevin, you are wonderful.
Yeah, those $2
You are wonderful.
are definitely explain yourself $2.
That's
But,
right.
the thing about it is, you're I'm not very good at math. $2,000 away, which seems like a lot of money, but Kickstarter math is going to kick in. You're going to make it. You did the right thing. You have a book worth an $11,000 goal. I am a coward when I make my goals. I go, this is what I need to print, and this is what I think I can raise in a day or two, and that is what I'm going to ask for, and I'm going to try to go 300%, 400%, because I cannot handle the stress. So I respect you, Moana. I love it.
She's
and
a G.
You did the right thing. It's just
He's a boss.
it's stressy. It's stressy and it's scary. I understand.
It is, yeah. But
I mean,
our
you're
community
85.
rallies
She's a
and-
G.
yeah.
You're 85, 90% funded. I mean,
Yep.
it's at this point, the odds of you not funding are like 1%. I mean,
Yeah.
so it's going to happen. Kickstarter math, like Kevin says, is going to kick in.
Yes. And let me so for folks who are watching and love Mog and want to get her tier, let me fix that for you. Give me like 10 minutes.
You know what? You do that, and we're gonna go back. We'll check out. We'll go back to
Go to
how I
Charlie.
slept my way through. No, we talked about that last week.
Yeah.
Crossover Division and Tart have already been talked about.
We talked about those, yes.
The hosts don't get to abuse the platform. We gotta let Charlie go back through.
Also,
Charlie,
good books
what?
that you should back.
No,
you.
no, you're allowed to say that. We'll let you say that. But is there a tier, Charlie, that you think people should check out?
I mean, it depends on what you like. I always encourage someone who's coming new. I try to set my tiers very differently for different types of backers. So if you're someone like, I want you to be able to just get the book, check out the book and you read it. If you're a collector, I try to make it easy for you to get all the covers at, at a cheaper price than just getting one of the variants. If you're a reader, I've got a reader's tier, which covers all of my White Ash books. It covers everything. I do that both in print and digital. It's like 350 pages worth of story. And then
so
this campaign.
So the ultimate reader's tier for digital is only $30, and
so that gets you all these books are long. So this one is a 34-page book. The game is 32-page books. The Galarian bundle is another 32 pages. The White Ash bundle comes with it's 280 pages worth of comics. So it's
and that's like 2 issues, right? The way you write.
So it's a lot. And then the all 3 covers, that's a lot cheaper than getting the individual ones. I've got a metal cover. People like those. I just want to have the things for collectors. And then there may be a couple of sketch covers left if you want Connor to do a sketch cover for you, which are pricey, but I want to make sure he's getting paid to do a sketch cover because he does good work. I don't know. And at one point there was a bundle that had all of those things. So I want to have different things for different people. So it's hard to say what's my favorite tier. My favorite tier is the one that makes you the happiest.
Yes.
Because I always judge my campaigns. We all want to fund, and that's wonderful. Like for me, I am fortunate that I've been around a couple of times with Kickstarters, and my Kickstarters do decently. So for me, it's about the backers. I want to have a lot of backers who check out the stories, and I want to find out if they like the books. Because if they like the books, I'm going to keep going and keep making things with you. So for me, that's the way I sort of approach all of this is have different tiers for different people, because different people come to Kickstarter for different reasons. Some want to collect, some want to find a new indie story. And I, one of the things I also do is I try to, when I make deals with any artists that I'm working with, the more we raise, the more they get paid. So I'm always trying, because it's my way of doing royalties, because I've had projects that have been really successful in the past. So I just want to make sure that we're all in this together, and that we're doing our best to make something that we all feel good about. So when it comes down to tiers, it's what are you looking for? If you're looking for just reading the story, I want to have an affordable comic for you to get into the world. If you want to read everything, I've got a big bundle for that. And if you're a collector, I've got 1 in 25 metal covers combined with a sketch cover, combined with all 3 covers that you can get for the project.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and the project that Charlie's talking about, White Ash, is excellent. Galarian, the spinoff from White Ash, is also excellent. The game. So yeah, check those things out.
I will say it to your face because I'm not a coward. White Ash is one of my favorite Kickstarter books I have ever run across, and I cannot possibly recommend it higher. If you haven't read White Ash, I would get one of the reader tiers, whether digital or, because you've got to catch up on White Ash. It is extraordinary, and I just, like I said, I'm not a coward. I'll say it to your face. I fucking love that book.
Kevin. And I'll just return the favor, because one of the reasons I got into Kickstarter was I saw Tart there, and I was like, people making real books. I should come to Kickstarter.
I fooled you. So Moana,
I got to take off, guys.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's great to meet
nice
you.
Thank you for having me. Thank
I'm
you
not
for
a,
having me,
I'm not a
Moana. I love
coward.
you.
Yeah, I'm not a coward. I'll say again, your artwork is extraordinary, and
Absolutely.
Yeah.
just meeting you is great, but
Guys,
looking at your
thank you
art
so
is
much.
a gift.
And thank you for having me tonight. This has been great. Thank
My
you.
pleasure. Nice
Happy
to meet you,
vacation.
Ryan.
Ryan,
Bye,
yeah,
guys.
we'll be in
Good night.
contact.
Thank you. Nice meeting you, Charlie. Nice to meet you, Kevin and Will.
Yeah.
Moana, I love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Artie's gone. Now we can say what we really think. His art is amazing.
It is.
Yes, it really is.
Yeah,
Prima
that
donna.
Ryan
no,
Ryan's the type of artist where you don't have to butter him up. You just have to say what you think when you see it.
Yep. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, it's beautiful stuff.
It really is.
Moana, what part of the country are you in? East Coast, West Coast?
So I'm on the East Coast. Yeah, just outside of DC. Mm-hmm.
So that's where you're able to get to Baltimore pretty easily.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's our hometown show. We kind of show out for that one. This year we kept it low key though because we're like, oh, this is the first time back. We don't know. Let's just go back to Artist Alley. But usually we are in the vendor area. We get 2 corner booths because we also promote for our comic book, The Wildcard Chronicles.
Mm-hmm.
And so we ride our motorcycle in there. It's part of the display. It's
Really?
yeah, it's a
Wow.
whole thing. We make it fun for that show because that's our home show and we can, bring our full setup without having to worry about, oh my God, travel and shipping and all that stuff. So
Right.
yeah.
I've done one show since the pandemic. It was a $30 table at the Sunrise Comic Con, a 12-minute ride for me, and I was like, "All right, I've got the vaccine. My wife has got the vaccine. My kid doesn't yet. It's a small show. It's gonna be perfectly fine." And then the Delta variant popped up, and it was like everybody in Florida had it, and I was like, "What did I do? What did I do?" But they were nice enough. They moved me out to a hallway where, it's kind of, there were like 4 tables out there instead of 100. And well, I mean, there weren't 100 for the whole show. There were probably 50 for the whole show. But I was like, all right, I'll do it. And, I'm still here. So it worked out just fine. But I'm definitely on the more careful side. I really respect that you guys had the courage to go to real shows.
Well,
Yeah.
to that end, I was not ready to go to a real show until my kids had gotten vaccinated.
Yeah.
And so like my
Yeah.
kids got vaccinated and then it was like, okay, I can try this with my KN95 mask and go there and, stand behind the table and let's be smart about this. And,
Mhm.
I was still nervous. I mean, honestly, I was still a little nervous to do it, but I felt better over the course of the show, and there do not seem to have been any outbreaks at LA Comic-Con, which is nice.
Well,
to hear.
in the elephant in the room, they had the anime show in New York City where Omicron, but it seems to me, reading the things, is that probably 30 people were in 3 hotel rooms with each other all weekend
Jeez.
having a party. Because what do like 30 people around the country who are friends came and, saved money. That's what you do when you're young and dumb and full of stuff. And,
Stuff.
I don't think that the show is why anything was spread, because so far it's only the 15 people that were part of the 30-person friend group.
Mhm.
They saved money. They were all having a party. Most were probably vaccinated. And how could you think? And it's terrible that it was spread amongst them. But I don't think cons, as long as masks are actually enforced and people are smart, I don't think they're extraordinarily dangerous, but it's just people have to mind their P's and Q's while they're there.
Yeah.
In different parts of the country, that's different things. I mean, I'm sure, Kevin, where you are in Florida, it's a little bit more challenging than where I am in Los Angeles.
No, not anymore. Not anymore. In Florida, because of Delta, you either are vaccinated or you had Delta. Like we just there's
Like
just
Arkansas.
there's like nobody here who don't have antibodies. We're like full.
The herd
and-
has immunity, huh?
Yeah.
Herd immunity.
It's people like me who have either Pfizer or Moderna, and they're people that are just like, I'm fine, I'm stronger, But no, Omicron ain't got shit on Florida.
Jesus. Oh man.
Florida.
You have to laugh.
That's
You have
hilarious.
to.
The one thing I learned early in the pandemic is in the war movies when everybody's joking around, that shit is true.
Oh, gallows humor. Yes.
Yeah, I've never made more like dark jokes than those first 6 weeks where it was like you had no idea what was going to happen. My wife and I would sit on the couch and we'd go dark. But you get through it that way.
I feel like we were more worried later on, because at first we're like, well, worst case we die, kids will be fine. Then you get to the point, oh, this can hit kids too. Like I'm vaxxed now, but I feel worse about things.
Yeah.
Right? So, like,
getting the vaccine and knowing your kid couldn't was this extraordinarily weird anti-freedom.
Yeah.
Because you'd been waiting for the vaccine. And I remember getting my first shot and being like, this is great. Getting my second shot and being like, this is great. And then it was probably 8 months until my daughter, which I'm the luckiest parent there could be. My daughter was 12. She hadn't really had the freedom that needed to be taken away. Now, she deserved the freedom. She should have been able to be at the mall, walking with her friends, with me 100 feet back, looking like a terrible person, but not. But we didn't give her that opportunity because of this pandemic, but we didn't take it away from her.
Right.
And then she was the age that was first okay for kids. So like the Friday that vaccines were open for 12 to 18-year-olds, my daughter got her shot. Right. So when I got my shot, I felt good. When she got her shot, I cried.
Yeah.
Because I felt like we got there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
for kids, did they do a single half shot, or do they get one? Was it a two?
She got 2 shots. I can't tell you how big or small it was. I believe the 12-year-old dose is near the adult dose, but I do think the 5 to 11 is a smaller dose.
It's a smaller dose, yeah. Because I have a 9 and a 12, so we had 3 different periods when we were getting vaccines for the family. And then I also had gotten the Johnson & Johnson, so I was one of the first people up for the booster. And I went into CVS to get my booster shot, and this woman who was probably, I would say, 65, 70, looked at me and she was like, "Aren't you a little young to be getting a booster?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm sorry, I've got the Johnson & Johnson." And she looked at me and she was like, "Oh, you go. You just go." I was like, great. Everyone's like, you got the, but like, just go to the front of the line, get something else in that body.
See, no, I mean, Johnson & Johnson is a great shot. Like it was about 65% of the original virus.
Yeah, it was really great for like 2 months. That's where it came out later on. Like after about 2 months, like the effectiveness just dropped because it was originally scheduled to be a 2-dose shot. But they saw how effective just one was. So they're like, you know what? We need to get as many people vaccinated as possible. So let's just turn it into a 1-dose shot and get a bunch of people.
I didn't know that.
But then, like this is the downside of rolling out a vaccine as quickly as possible. So you got it approved. You know it works. There aren't side effects, but you don't know that 2 months down the road, the efficacy goes down to 20%. So.
And then variants happen too, because And
these are not the good variants that you pay extra for on Kickstarter.
Right.
By the way, thank you for tuning in
only
to
25 of
COVID
those Mod Park
Communications
covers
with
that you
comic
want to
creators.
get and jump on right now, because we need to
is
push
now
that
available.
Kickstarter
It is fixed.
over $11,000 by the end of the show.
Yeah, exactly.
So, we promised to get Charlie on. We might have made some promises that Will and I can't quite live up to. So we really got to get it up over $11,000, guys. Come on. It's okay, because anything over 10,000, I'm going to work my way back, because rounded numbers are easy. That's Will and I. Anything over 10,000, we did.
That's right.
So Moana is Mog Park's tier
Yes,
up.
it is. It is up now.
Let's
Okay,
go take a
so-
look at that.
Okay.
I'm
So,
gonna-
so for all those people who've been waiting, now is the time. You go adjust your pledge.
Oh
get
my
Mog's
God, that would be
tier.
great.
I want to see a flurry of people doing that.
Is it just a tier or is it on
It is
the
a
main
tier,
page?
and
Okay.
it's also on the main page. Yes, you
Oh,
can
we're
go
gonna
down.
go to the main page.
Yeah, to the
Down.
reward section.
I would throw in my book as a digital compliment to anyone who did that, but it's the absolute wrong compliment to go.
Yeah.
I think you
Different
just
campaign,
passed
I'd
it.
help you out. But
Oh, you might have to refresh, maybe.
Oh, that probably is true.
yeah.
so,
All right, makes sense. Ooh, oh my God! Look at this. Look at what they're recommending.
wow.
Crossover
That's right.
Division 1 through 3 and Tart 14. I have to say that is probably not the best recommendation on a children's book,
Oh,
but I will
stop.
take it.
Yeah.
But while we're here, thumbs up. Thumbs up. All right.
That's right. Oh, that's awesome.
You got to work the algorithm any way you can.
Yes, you do. Absolutely.
Nice.
Oh my God. I was at a comic shop once. I was in their kind of indie aisle. How much is the Mog Park? It'll help me find it.
125.
Okay, cool. There we are.
There we go.
Gorgeous. Only 25. So Mog is extraordinary and you help a great one. And you get the print. Can we sneak the print in for 1233, Moana?
1233. What?
Yeah. You said if anybody backed by midnight, they'd get
Oh
the
yes,
print.
absolutely. Yes, we can.
All right, we'll
yes.
cheat a little, people. Come on, get the Mog Park one.
Well, okay. Here's what we'll do. We'll say it's midnight Hawaii time, so that
There you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
See,
Nice.
that's why she's the writer.
There you go. So I was in a comic shop in their indie aisle. It's Tate's down here in Fort Lauderdale, and I've got a really nice indie section. And I think it was a young lady who was in that section. And I said, I want to thank you for shopping in here because I have a book here. And she said, oh, well, what is it? And I said, well, that feels really wrong. I just want to say thank you. And she said, no, tell me what it is. And I said, well, it's that one. It's Tart. And she said, well, I'm going to buy it. And I thought, if I could be at every comic shop in the world at all times, I'd start to make money doing this.
Yeah, it's the local author thing, right? Like there's something special that it's obviously it's a great book, but like having that connection to the author too, that's it makes it personal and that's really cool.
No, it's fun, and it's what I miss about cons, and I'm excited to get back when
One of the nicest things about LA Comic Con was two comic book shops, the Comic Bug and Comic Collector's Paradise, had basically teamed up to get a whole section of booths. And I think there was about 40 of them. And they had a sign over it that was like Creators Corner, and they gave them out to local artists. So Mog was part of that too. So she got a free booth at Los Angeles Comic Con because she's part of the Los Angeles creator communities. And so I just love like the convention worked with them, and the convention was like, they were both advertising for the convention. You could buy discounted tickets through their shops, but still, I love that a convention was like, hey, let's partner with these comic book shops and bring in these local artists. And everyone got, I think it was like a 6 or 8 foot table for free.
That's awesome.
For
Friday, at a show
Sunday.
of that size is extraordinary.
Yeah. So you could have made a lot of money, especially if it's your local show, because these were all local creators. They all could drive there. They could even take the subway there. Like it's one of the few places that the subway actually goes to in LA.
I thought that from watching Speed, I didn't think the subway was finished.
It's like it's still not really finished, but
damn, I thought that was a joke.
no. Like only in the last, like just before the pandemic hit, like in the last 8 years, so like way after Speed, it finally made it all the way to the beach. Wow. Like for the longest time, there was a subway that probably ran 8 miles, and then they did the other 8 miles. But it's a city, like I love living in LA, but it's a city that's for driving because, at one point they had trolley lines everywhere. And it was about, like, I guess it was the automobile lobby beat out the trolley lobby for their dollars going to politicians, and they ripped up all the trolley lines and put in more roads. So like the public transportation's always been horrible here, but you can get to the convention center. So if you actually want to, take the shuttle to the convention center where you can see Mog and get her to sign, copies of your book that you picked up.
Yeah. Exactly. The one that you just backed.
Yes.
I was out in LA once for a show I was working on, and I called my friend who grew up near it, and I was like, "Hey man, I need something to eat, and I'm on Santa Monica Boulevard. Where should I go?" And he goes, "Well, Santa Monica Boulevard kind of starts at the ocean and ends in Arizona. Where the fuck are you?" I was like, "I don't know." He said, "I guess I'll just start walking one direction and find a restaurant, dude. I can't help you. It's the longest. It's like the longest road in the history of mankind." And he was right.
Yeah, as long as you weren't in Arizona, yes.
Yeah. Shani, that is right. We're going to get holographic Kevins for our comic shops worldwide. Absolutely. I will absolutely do that. Well, guys, I want to thank you very much. It's getting later, and I know everybody has families and friends and sleep. And Will and I are going to talk about some of the campaigns that are still live. You are welcome to hang with us, and you're welcome to go to sleep. There's no judgment here. I don't think there's a ton anymore. A lot of them closed this week. Yeah. Blazing Blade of Frankenstein, I think, closed, and Meraki closed.
And I am
smelling like a rose that somebody gave me. Producing the End of the World anthology, Soda and Telepaths. It's an anthology where every single story has to do with the end of the world, all different cataclysms, and really some great creators. Mario Candelario was part of it. I'm blanking on other names. This is the point where the show kind of goes off the rails, which
if it hasn't already,
it's gotta really give you a lot of confidence next week when we talk about your books. But they are at $13,000 and 297 backers with 15 days to go.
Nice.
Really cool, big, long anthology and worth it. And I'm going to look down for the. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah. Producing the End of the World anthology. Definitely worth checking out. Mario's story was basically a pitch meeting, a producer pitching the End of the World as a movie while the End of the World is happening, with fantastic artwork.
And I think I've got one other, which is the massive Dig #1 campaign. We had Alex Cormack on last week.
Real quick, Joey, had to step away. I'm back. Are you all having fun? Will and I are. I will not speak for Charlie and Moana.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
Yeah, fun every week.
Oh, so is Dig the only other one live right now?
That's all I could find.
Dig comes from the Sync universe. It is a crime, horror, comedy, gore anthology world in Scotland where drunks and killer clowns and dudes in fox masks, vigilantes in fox masks, circle each other. And this is about a 60-page story about Mr. Dig, who is about the most iconic visual character I have seen in a comic in years. And it's just John Lees is a great artist. I'm a great writer, and Alex Cormack, amazing artist from Sea of Sorrows, Road of Bones, obviously Sync and Dig, and they just had a wrestling comic come out, Crimson Cage, I believe, in comic shops. So if you get to your comic shop and you can pick that up, Alex didn't talk about it, which I'm I'm pretty pissed about. I'm going to talk to him. But
This stuff, it's super disturbing and dark.
Is
So
it?
if you
Is
like
it?
that, like no, just like I just remember Sync was.
Oh, yeah.
Sync
Yeah.
is
And-
disturbing.
and
Yes.
it's from the same universe, right?
Mhm.
Dig is.
Yes.
So you know, like if you like that thing, they know how to do it.
It's Tarantino-esque. Whatchamacallit? Madonna's ex-husband. What's his Guy Ritchie-esque
I
kind
think
of.
they say Sean Penn.
That times at Ridgemont High. No, sorry.
I mean, Sean Penn could play Mr. Dig. You just throw a fox mask on him. I know he could do it.
Right.
It's dark. It's disturbing. It's a hard R rated. But if you like horror or crime comedy, I think you'll like Sync. And if you don't like gore and you don't like violence, do not check out this campaign.
Yes.
It's an easy slide away if you don't like those things, because it gives you
All of
everything
those
you
things.
want if you like horror and crime and lads out on the town, but the night maybe not working out for them very well.
Got a little bit of the purge to it as well.
Yeah.
Definitely. So I'm gonna check my Kickstarter and just make sure that I agree, but I think that might be it.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, one little plug for I think some people who might be on your show soon is for Tracker Collectibles, which is doing some toys right now for Phantom Star Killer, for Gut Ghost, for Julius Black from the Electric Black, and as soon as they hit $60,000, Lillian from White Ash will be unlocked. That's on Kickstarter right now. I put a link for it in the back. I didn't know quite how to put that in the comments.
I will share that. Whoops. You know what? I clicked on it and it came up. So let's look at it real quick before we go. Yeah,
You meant to do that, Kevin. I know you did.
Absolutely. We're not at the part of the show where I pretend things are mistakes. These are all on purpose and beautiful. Oh, there's the comics involved: White Ash, Electric Black, Phantom Star Killer, Gut Ghost, Metal Shark Bro, and the Mall. Lillian is the next stretch goal. Is Metal Shark Bro available, or is that after you as a stretch goal?
It's. I think we'll have to see where the campaign goes. I mean, they have made molds or made figures for all of those characters right now, and then it's just about making the molds. And Moana, I don't know if you've ever had this done, but like having a figure made of one of your characters is just kind of incredible.
So we have pops that we're unlocking this weekend.
Ooh. This is an Explain Yourself exclusive, guys. This is said first, and it's probably been said elsewhere, but I didn't hear it. So that makes it an exclusive.
Yes, absolutely.
So
this is a really cool idea. I heard about James Haig told me about it a couple of months back, and he was extraordinarily excited about it. And I do need to reach out to James and see if anybody wants to come on and talk about it next week.
That's really cool.
Is that the Kenner?
They're like the old size of the Star Wars. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it does. Like Tracker does look a little bit like Kenner. And
what is it, about 4 inches?
I think they're 6 inch. Okay. But maybe I'm wrong. Like I think it's 6 inch though. I think it's yay big. And then if you scroll down somewhere on that huge page of lots of different things, you can see the Lillian figure, which I'm strangely biased to be excited about.
A little bit invested in, perhaps.
Well, I will say that I'm sitting on the Julius Black, and when Lillian is opened up, I've got to decide: am I just adding it, or am I changing? Although the Gut Ghost, really man, nice. Gut Ghost is. That's what's the name of the Gut Ghost guy? I'm blanking on him.
Enzo something or other, and he also is
super nice dudes.
Yeah, I think like going through the process of having your toy made and someone sculpting it and working with a master sculptor was also really kind of cool. just to see that process of how that happens.
It is. Yeah, very
So-
cool.
So you're having the pops made?
Yeah, I popped one into the
You popped a pop.
I popped a pop into the behind the scenes.
Joey
Oh.
says they're 1 to 18 figures, and it's Enzo Garza.
Enzo
Enzo
Garza.
Garza.
Yeah, that was
So cool.
I
Yeah, he was
remembered Enzo.
great. I met him at Scout's first headquarters one
Thanks, Joey.
day. There we
you
are.
go. There we are.
Unlockable
Nice.
at $60,000, and she looks gorgeous, by the way.
Mhm.
Yeah, Connor did the design work for the
Nice.
figure, and then the sculptor came in, like he did all that stuff and the turnaround. So yeah, it looks really, really great. I tweeted out an image of it that's a little bit more finished. So hopefully soon.
If you were Moana, you could put it in the thing and we could share it, but you're not. So I will say, as a writer with a female lead that has a comic at Scout, I am really rooting on Lillian to do well.
Yeah.
I may ask to follow the headwinds if Lillian does well, but Lillian has to do well first, people. So all right. Okay, so you shared that, and we have something. Pop.
There we go.
Oh, there's the pop that's
That's
coming out.
cool.
I like how actiony that is too. That looks great.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, Viet Win he does a lot for the indie creatives. He hand sculpts, hand paints. We challenged him with this one because there's lots of details.
There is a lot of detail to that.
So are these each custom made, or is there a mold that's popping them out?
No, each custom made. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and he's done them for quite a number of indie creators, and it's so cool. Like, I can't wait to have it like in my hand. I'm like, oh look, it's my character. But yeah, I mean, for me, this is also like a really cool gift for me to give to my niece and nephew, because I showed them, the pictures, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, Auntie, can I have one?" And I'm like, "Yes, you can get one."
Oh,
I made
that's
it
awesome.
for you.
But
Yeah.
you got it back first. No.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, these will be in the add-on section this weekend. So
Nice.
definitely check those out. I have
How much will they be?
So this will be $175. Shipping's included in that. And it's going to be whatever we, however many orders come through the campaign, that's what we'll make.
Right.
And I'm not sure that we'll make any more after that. So
if one got destroyed in shipping, you could ask them to do it.
Yeah,
another,
absolutely.
right? Yeah.
Mhm.
So you
Yeah.
can actually order exactly what you need.
yeah, which is great because, as an indie, it's like, oh gosh, how much do I have to outlay, right?
Yeah.
Especially
Right.
like if you wanted to do mass production, that's crazy. So I'm really glad that he had that flexibility to just, help it keep it reasonable for me, but also give our backers a chance to jump in and grab this while they can.
No.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. I'm going to share one more campaign before we go, because as of right now, and things can change, Jonathan Hedrick should be joining us next week to talk about Quicksand 1 through 3. I have the first issue of this. There's a hole in the world, and there is some stuff you do not want coming out of that hole, coming out of the hole. And Jonathan wrote Capable. He writes the recount at Scout. Super nice guy, incredible writer, and hopefully we're going to get to talk to him next week. And
Nice.
when I say hopefully, I expect it, but shit happens. So
Yes.
if you tune in next week and it's me and Will talking, then Jonathan was busy.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Oh, there's something in the stream. Charlie figured it out.
Did I make it? Yeah, there you go.
Did.
Ah, yes.
Nice.
Yeah, that I'm gonna
They look
big
good.
screen myself. Oh, she's gorgeous.
Yeah, that looks really good.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
But yeah, like I want this side of the company to do really well, so we can all get our figures.
Yeah,
Selfishly,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely. It's I have a term that I call greedy giving. Yeah. Very, very, very happy to back this Kickstarter campaign because I'll get something cool now, and hopefully my turn will come.
Yeah.
Charlie, now White Ash is coming out via Scout right now.
Yes.
At least for this next, call it season 2? Is that right?
Yep. That's what we're calling it. I don't know if we'll keep calling things that.
Okay.
trying to figure out, like it's such a, it's great on Kickstarter because you're just like, hey, here's issue 5, and everyone who bought the first bunch are like, yes, I'm gonna get it. But you go to a comic book shop and you say, here's issue 5, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna get 10% of what we got for issue 1. It's just such a different dynamic. Where on Kickstarter, your audience builds up and builds up. So, we're doing this as the second arc. This is season 2, number 1. I don't know if that worked. I think next time we might just do, like, if we do another arc, it'll be like White Ash Awakenings, number 1. And do another arc that way. But we still do Legacy. So this is number 1 of season 2 came out last week, but it's also number 7 technically through Scout. It's all crazy.
Yeah, it's if you haven't done it, the juggling of a Kickstarter launch and putting stuff out in comic shops and not really wanting to talk about the Kickstarter to comic shops, but being happy to talk about the comic shops to Kickstarter backers, it's confusing as hell.
Well, 2 different audiences, though, completely different audiences.
They really are.
It is. I made it even more complicated by having different numbering. So like White Ash that was coming out through the Kickstarters is on number 5, but the same issue through Scout is number 7. So, I'm just making things difficult for everyone.
And we have one more. Oh, God, this is gorgeous. I'm going to open this up. Moana, what is Power Broker?
So Power Broker is a comic from Unlikely Hero Studios. Laurie is she's amazing. She's a great indie supporter, and this particular book is one where you can have superpowers for a price.
Ooh.
And so I'm really looking forward to checking this one out. The art's great. They really do these great Kickstarter videos too, because Eric is also doing the music with the art, and it's very unique way to present the story. So
No, the visuals are very strong.
yeah.
Call her up, tell her to join us. We got all night, whatever.
She's actually ending on let's see, I think she ends the same day that we do. So
yeah, it says 6 days. I don't think we can get her on next Friday.
I know.
Although it might be really funny to bring her on and be like, look what you guys missed.
Yeah.
This is a great book and you can't get none of it.
Yes.
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing that. That is a cool looking, and I love the concept of being able to basically purchase superpowers.
Yeah, and like, which one would you choose? Like, what would it be?
Because that's how it would be. Sadly, right?
You're right. Yeah.
Because it's not the poor people who are getting the superpowers first.
Yes.
Going back to Duplicate, we had the writer of Duplicate on, and I'm blanking on her name right now. Carla, and it was such an extraordinary, smart piece about how people take advantage of scientific breakthroughs to make money, and much smarter than I could ever come up with. But I was reading it, I'm like, oh, she's really onto it, and this stuff is fun and interesting, and I'm glad that there are smart people like Carla and Laurie, making books that are worth thinking about, and while you read. So all right, I'm tired.
All right.
Yep, sounds good, guys.
But I had an absolute blast, and I do appreciate you guys coming on. Will, as always.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Wonderful meeting you.
Yeah, likewise, Charlie. Nice. Absolute pleasure.
All right, and everybody who commented, thank you. You guys make the show.
Yes.
You guys make the show better when you comment, so thank you. I really appreciate it. And we
bye,
got
Shawnee.
one before
I look forward to seeing you another show soon.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely, Shawnee. Anytime you can make it, we'd love to have you.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Take care.